right, next question. At what age do you start paying them to read? So we started this about 4 years ago. So right now we have a 19, 17, 15-year-old, and then the 4-year-old. So the 4-year-old's not participating. So our 15-year-old was the youngest that was exposed to this
She'd have
because
been
of
about
when we
11.
started. She would have been about 11. I mean, I think that 11 to 13-year-old range is a good place to start. I will say that they've been motivated at different paces and levels at different stages in their life. So don't be worried if like you're starting it at 11 and they're not doing a bunch of it. Just keep at it. And at some point, there'll be motivation there to do more of it. For our 4-year-old now, I would say we'll probably start once she is actually reading. There's lots of even great kid books on history and business. And so those won't, like, our older ones are all reading adult books. But there's great kid versions of that
Or
will
teen
probably, or
versions.
teen versions that will
Yeah.
probably create a different list for our 4-year-old when she gets to that point. All right. How much do you pay per book and how do you decide this amount? So Wes shared, we do have different categories of books that are in the list, and those categories are paid differently. So our real estate books, our financial
Are the
books
highest
are the
tier.
highest tier in paying because we do feel there's a compounding effect of that being able to multiply their mindset around money. So for those books, we pay
75.
$75. Then we have
History, we have like business slash mindset. We do have president books. We have the classic fiction. Those are all $50. We do have some specific series, like there's an Audible. It's called The Drama of American History, and most of those books are hour and a half to like 2.5 hours, so they're pretty short. So I made those $30 per. I used to have the classic fiction at $25, and actually, someone on our team was like, "Hey, I really think you should make that higher because there's so much value in reading older books and learning." So we upped it to 50, and they really weren't taking advantage of the classic fiction that much. And as soon as I changed the price, they started reading it more. Those are our categories. We made real estate and finance the most just because we saw that as having a direct ROI in that money world, and the other stuff is super important and not trying to minimize that, but we felt like we really wanted to incentivize the real estate and the financial principles.
Yeah, so I'd love to hear what you guys think. If you were to pay your kids, kind of how would you organize? What would you put more value on or less value on? Would it be all the same? Would love to just kind of hear your thought process on what that would look like if you were to implement something like this. We don't tend to give our kids money to go do things. So if they want to go bowling or the movies or go out for food, it is their responsibility to earn that money. And so books is a great way that they get to earn money. So if they're like, oh, I need $20, it's like, all right, go see what book you can read. So you can do it a number of different ways, but that's been really helpful as our kids have become teenagers and they have busier lives and things that they want to do. Definitely the motivation of reading kicks in. I will say that they're also very smart in that because our payment is based off of the category of book, they will tend to pick the easier reads
Mm-hmm.
to be able to get that money. So that's another thought that you could look into. Maybe instead of category, it's more based on the size of the book. We do it some, like Wes said, we have some that are $30, but you might say books up to this amount of pages or an Audible, this amount of length is worth a different amount than a shorter book because they will find all the loopholes in the system to benefit them. But hey, you're like, that's smart, right? You're being efficient.
Have any books sparked meaningful conversations as a family? Yeah, absolutely. There have been a number. I think Rich Dad Poor Dad probably had the most conversations around just how Robert Kiyosaki in that books just compares his biological dad and his approach to money and how that impacted him. And then I think it was one of his friends' dad, and that was the more of the rich dad and how they approached money, how they approached life, and just the comparison in there was really cool. It makes for an engaging story in itself, and then breaking down the cash flow quadrant and what investing your money looks like and all those kind of things made it very engaging and practical for them. There's been other books like Psychology of Money. There's been books. There's a Napoleon Hill book called Outwitting the Devil, which is really engaging on Audible that caused some conversation. So I can't remember them all right now, but there's been a lot of books that have definitely started some conversations, and some don't get talked about as much, but you're still planting those seeds in their brain. But for sure, we've had conversation. I've had conversations with them. They've had conversations with each other when they're done reading a similar book. So for sure, it's a great way to start some real life conversations in the family group.
Yeah, we'll have to do maybe some other videos and interview the kids
Oh,
on
that would be
what some
cool.
of their favorite books have been that they've read and conversations that we've had. That would be fun to get their perspective on that.
What's been the most surprising result of this system? I would say the surprising result was how different each of them approached it. I would say for me, I thought they would all attack it in the beginning and take advantage of it. I kept encouraging our son, be like, hey, just it's there. Like you're not taking advantage of it. Just want you to know. And our younger teen, our youngest teen daughter, really went after it more than I thought that they would at first. I mean, she was reading multiple books a month,
Hmm.
diving into them and getting excited. And as she kind of built that habit, you could tell she was enjoying it. She was loving having conversations. It was a great way for us to connect.
I would say another, I guess, surprise for me, particularly with our youngest, was how much it really changed her mindset and understanding at her age. So, just to give you an example, our older two, when they turned 16 and it was time for them to think about getting a car, we've always given them a match for a car. So, for instance, if they save $1,000, we'll give you $1,000 towards a car. So, we've never paid for them to get a car, but we'll match whatever they save. So we've done that twice now with our older two, and the youngest one is 15, so she's got her permit coming up to that stage, and she's been reading a lot of finance and real estate books, and so she really wants to get into real estate. So she approached us and was like, hey, what if I don't get a car? So she's like, would you consider instead matching whatever I save to put a down payment on a house?
We're like,
And I was
oh,
like, oh, like we didn't cap that. Maybe we should have. But I love the thought process. Although we hoped it would shift their mindset and broaden their thought process, I think I thought about it applying more into adulthood and
mhm.
some of the decisions and thought processes that they have that they've already have implemented as teenagers. I
Yeah.
think has just been more than I had anticipated.
Yeah, that's very true. And we were like, okay, yeah. I mean, we said, yeah, if that's what you want to do, we just may not, depending on how much you save, because she's being very, tactical and aggressive. I would say with it, like we may have to cap that.